500 frickin' subscribers. I am honestly so proud that I made it this far, and I couldn't have done it without you guys. But enough of the sappy stuff. That was what last week was for. And also, last week you guys voted on what video you wanted to see me do for this 500 subscriber milestone. And, judging by the title of this video, me fixing Conquest is what ran out. So, let's get right into it. But first, I have a few things to say. Firstly, while making this video, I gave myself 2 criteria that me and a friend discussed beforehand to make sure that these criteria fit the video quite well. And these 2 criteria are that A, I cannot add or remove any characters, and B, Corrin still has to be the main character. As much as I hate this rule, Corrin is the central driving point behind Fates, and really the story falls apart without him as a plot point in it. So, naturally I decided to keep him, because it just so happens that while I hate Corrin in every single possible way, I actually like Corrin as a concept. So, at least on paper, Corrin has my good vote. With that out of the way, if you've seen the Belated Media Fixing Star Wars series, this video is going to be very similar format-wise. So, if you like those videos, or you like this style of video entirely, I expect you'll like this. So, without any further ado, here is my 2,000-word rewrite of Conquest's story. What if Conquest had a good story? Like, a really good story. What if I was an executive at Nintendo who was allowed to make changes to Shin Kibayashi's final draft? Well, for my 500 subscriber special, let's make this hypothetical reality somewhat true. Firstly, some housekeeping. About 1,000 years prior to the events of Fire Emblem Fates, a great dragon called Anankos burst from the earth and created a giant canyon in the center of the continent of Lukvia. The people of Lukvia prayed to the great dragons who had protected them since the dawn of time. The Dawn Dragon answered by bestowing her blood onto a swords mistress, giving her a curved blade of lightning. She then gave a master archer a bow strung with light, and sent them to counter Anankos. The Dust Dragon answered by gifting a sorceress a tome written in the tongue of dragons that plunged enemies in the wrath of nature. The dragon then bestowed a great sword wreathed in black flame to a wandering paladin. Together with the hero Vala, the 5 of them fought Anankos for 7 days until the beast finally fell. When the paladin and the sorceress went to the west, they founded the kingdom of Nor as king and queen, while the archer and the sword mistress founded the empire of Hoshido in the east, leading as the royal Dynas. The hero Vala forged crowns out of Anankos' scales and gave them to the new leaders of Hoshido and Nor. Afterwards, he disappeared into the bottomless canyon, leaving only his sword Yato behind in care of his brother, the Rainbow Sage. Flash forward 1,000 years. King Garen of Nor is in his old age. With his son Xander poised to take over for his ailing father as soon as possible, the old king's health is fading. Daily, the empire of Hoshido begins slowly encroaching on Nor territories, much against the will of Dynas Mikoto, who many view as too weak to rule the country due to the loss of her husband Sumeragi and her son Corrin 12 years prior. With both nations ready for war, Xander and his royal battalion are brought to the Norian outpost near the Bottomless Canyon, which acts as the border between the two kingdoms. Our story begins with Corrin being woken up by the maids from ReZero, as per the usual. He looks out his window to see the giant size of his brother's battalion, and remarks how he hasn't seen his family lately due to his stationing in the Norian outpost. From here, he's visited by Elise, who says that she has a surprise for Corrin, where he is then brought to a training exercise for new recruits in Xander's battalion. Leo, who is overseeing the event with Camilla's help, remarks that if Corrin can defeat the top 4 candidates, he could consider joining. Corrin obliges and acts as our Chapter 1. Afterwards, the 4 siblings reconnect as they've all been separated for the past 2 years. They insult each other mostly, much to Elise's disgust. From here, our story plays out similarly with 2 major differences. Firstly, everything takes place at the outpost until Chapter 3. And Garen's role in Chapter 2 is replaced with Iago, and neither Kaze or Rinka are present. Chapter 3 remains mostly untouched, with only anything that I've changed prior carrying over to any kind of difference. Chapter 4 is cut completely because Faceless don't exist in my timeline, with Corrin going directly to Mikoto's throne room, with all of the siblings present, along with Discount Ninian. Chapter 5 is the same from a gameplay standpoint, only instead of Valites, it's a group of Norian mercenaries called the Red Hounds, and Makoto remains alive, if not heavily wounded. Ryoma, acting Dynast and consumed with rage at his blood mother's attacking, declares war on Nor. Additionally, Iago is revealed to have killed Sumeragi and kidnapped Korin as a gift to King Garen. Ryoma announces the war to the Norians, to which a cocky Xander and Garen respond with, "Come at me, bro." Chapter 7, Korin chooses Nor. Not much different here. Now, things begin to get interesting. Back in the Hoshiden capital, Yukimura and Ryoma are discussing war plans while Honoka argues with Takumi about whether Korin going back to Nor is a good or bad thing. Then, as Sakura is confronted by Ryoma, Mikoto limps into the room and flops down on the throne, saying, "Yukimura, I want you to slaughter every last Norian who comes between me and my son." The room then goes silent, leaving only Azura ducking behind a corner, eavesdropping, getting shocked, and going off to warn the Norian army. You see, in my version, Azura is more of a gypsy, dancing and singing for pocket change until she found Ryoma's favor, and has been given the honor of performing for the Dynasts. Her character is relatively unchanged, barring her origin, but we'll get to that later. Korin, traveling around, is now the head of his own battalion, and he is tasked by King Garen, who's less Ganondorf and more angry old man, while Hans and Xander's battalions fight in the front lines. The same units, Silas, Elise, and her retainers, all join on the team. While going across Nor, Korin, trying to recruit the Ice Tribe, has another run-in with the Red Hounds, and much to the anguish of his companions, he starts a fight with them, still angry about his mother's attack. Afterwards, Korin is scolded by his brothers Jacob, who is in the Ice Tribe visiting Flora, and he joins the team. From here, we progress similarly till around Chapter 9. Here, Korin is going to the neutral territory of Shev, controlled by Duke Iago. Azura and her new friend found Nyx say that they've stowed away on a Hoshiden warship, bringing troops to the Chevois port under the command of a rebellion group. Korin immediately sends a falcon to Xander and Garen, warning them. Azura then remarks about how Makoto is going slowly crazy. Korin then receives a response from Xander after a skirmish with the Hoshiden scout group, telling him to meet Camilla in the port of Nestra, and go seek the Rainbow Sage for his clan of sorcerers. If Nor can get them as allies, it could help to stop the Hoshiden advance. Meanwhile, in Hoshido, Takumi, anxious to be deployed on his boat to Nestra, is poking around the palace when he comes across a locked box. He opens it and finds a broken piece of a crown, the same one as the hero Vala forged out of Anankos' scales. He puts it on, telling Sakura, who walked in on him, to be quiet about it. This is when we begin to see the scale start to corrupt Takumi's mind. The next interesting thing occurs in Chapter 11. Korin has fought his way against Takumi in the port of Nestra and dueled the Rainbow Sage's apprentice, granting him audience with the sage. The Rainbow Sage greets them and his jaw drops when he sees Azura, saying, "Had you not been a woman, I'd have think you were my brother back from the dead," revealing that Azura is in fact a descendant of the hero Vala. He gives her the sword Yato, but she offers it to Korin instead. The Rainbow Sage then remarks that the blade would have to accept Korin's ownership only if Vala, or his descendant in this case, wishes it so. Knowing nothing of her own heritage, Azura can't do much. The group returns to Sheev. After a quick meeting with Xander, Korin's forces are bolstered by Hans's battalion and the Red Hounds, revealing to be something of Iago's private army. They get the remaining Hoshidans, led by Takumi, and the rebels, led by Scarlet. Afterwards, Korin actually gets character development for once. As the villagers are fleeing from Hans's battalion, the reality of war sets in for our silver-haired idiot. And as Camilla comforts him, Korin lashes out before Azura assures Korin about death being part of life. No shit. Saying that she watched her parents be murdered by Mokushijins. Korin then calms down, saying that he will only kill for the good of Nor, and anyone innocent should be left out, but he won't hesitate to cut anyone down who stands in his way. The group travel back to Port Nestra, where they are surprised to find out that King Garen has come to celebrate his victory in Sheev. However, a still rogue Takumi uses his scale to awaken Garen's crown, causing him to get really angry and standoffish. Camilla, Elise, and Korin wonder what would cause their father to snap so suddenly, so Leo, newly appointed tactician of Korin's squadron, suggests having Azura perform while he enchants Azura's dance to help cure their father of his illness. This goes horribly wrong, causing the crown to awaken permanently and Iago to send the Red Hounds at Korin and company. In place of the weird Vala chapter with Gunther, We instead get an interlude with Xander and his retainers, as they clean up the fleeing Hoshidans from Sheev and help a little girl back to her mother. Xander then writes a letter to his pen pal in Hoshido, dictating as he writes. Laszlo then teases him about it, teasing Xander as he's writing to it as yet unnamed female character he met in Nestra some 10 years ago. We then cut back to Corrin. From here, Xander's battalion joins Corrin, and the game progresses similarly as Nor begins its open assault on Hoshido, fighting pirates at sea, the fights against Zola with Sakura and possessed Takumi only being captured, with Ryoma and Hinoka being absent in this chapter, and of course fighting the Kitsune. Leo, Camilla, and Elise and Corrin are all sitting around a campfire, discussing the war until Garen and his knights ride into the camp. Garen then approaches the siblings and tells them of the battle he had with Sumeragi before Xander's birth. We're treated to a cutscene where young Garen and Sumeragi duel while exchanging dialogue. In the next chapter, we're given another cutscene like this one, only with Ryoma and Xander in place of their fathers. After fighting Ryoma in the Hoshidan Plains, the wounded lobster samurai flees back to the capital. Sakura's chapter remains unchanged, only Elise is the one who helps Corrin convince the others to spare Sakura, while Leo and Xander remain skeptical, with Camilla just letting out a long-winded sigh. Takumi still jumps off a bridge, only he's more long gone beforehand. When the group approaches Hinoka, Hinoka begs for Corrin to kill her, because he is one of 2 friends that she ever had. Camilla objects and offers to kill Hinoka since Corrin can't stomach doing it. And just as Corrin is going to suck it up and go ahead and do it, Xander halts the execution, saying that he knows this woman. After Hinoka and Xander reminisce about the time they met in Nestra and all the letters they've sent each other, somehow unaware of other status, Xander takes his sword and runs the blade across Hinoka's arm, coating her scarf and a segment of her armor in blood. He then orders Hinoka to leave before he lets Camilla have her way. Corrin, shocked and dumbfounded, looks at Xander with newfound respect and honor, knowing that there is hope for a peaceful ending. Yago, Hans, and the Red Hands beg to differ, however, ambushing Corrin and his party. They dispose of the Mad Duke of Shave and the Kryu General, storming into the Hoshidan Palace. Here we get to see Garen fight, and all the siblings plus Azura are amazed that the old man can even lift his axe, much less carry the day. Ryoma's chapter is the same, only Corrin's role is replaced by Xander. We then take the fight to Mikoto, who's gone completely batshit yandere for Corrin. After Corrin is forced to mercy kill the broken woman, they share a touching final moment together, before a now fully consumed Garen takes the Hoshidan throne. Azura stings again with the Leo's enchantments made stronger than ever. They then try to calm Garen down enough to remove the crown, but alas, the crown turns Garen into a slime beast, and our heroes have to dispose of the king's hollow shell. As Xander delivers a touching eulogy for his father, the crown summons its Hoshidan brother, and thus the demonic body of Takumi, leading to the final confrontation, where Corrin destroys both crowns with the Shadow Yato, the blade now accepting him as its true master. Xander is then crowned King of Nor, and Hinoka is appointed as the new dynast of Hoshido. Azura approaches Corrin, telling him she's leaving to the bottomless canyon to seek the grave of the hero Vala and find the truth about her ancestor. Corrin smiles and wishes her well on her journey. We end as Corrin, Leo, Elise, Xander, and Camilla share a conversation in Windmire, ending with a nice warm group hug, instigated by who else but Elise. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my little rewrite. I certainly had a lot of fun writing it, and it was a blast to record it and just do this for you guys, because fixing Conquest is something that I've wanted to do on this channel for a while now, and I really hope this gets received well. So thank you all for 500 subscribers, and I will see you all in the next video. And as always, happy hunting. You're still here? The video's over. Go home. Oh, okay. Well, maybe there is something I can do at the end here. Boom. Annotation right there. That will take you to my last boss analysis that I did for the Ashes of Ariandel countdown, which will be getting its own video soon enough. And there'll be another annotation off to that side that will take you to my live commentary of the Bloodborne DLC bosses if you're looking for some live commentary done by this asshole. So, anyways, I'll catch you on the flip side, I guess.